Hey guys, what is up? Kevin Cage back with another daily cryptocurrency video. Like and sub if you like what you see, and let's get right into the information. And first things first, guys, I just want to say, a big shout out and thank you to the Digital Asset Investor, one of the, larger XRP YouTube channels. I'm telling you, his information and just like high level understanding of the markets and his, past experiences as well. Just a, straight up genuine individual. I hope someday when all of this blows up that I can have a barbecue with that guy and just sit back, relax, and, just talk about all the great things that we saw before, really the rest of the market really did. And without platforms like Twitter, YouTube, and other social media platforms, this wouldn't be possible. So I'm truly, truly thankful for the time we are, in today. And I mean, there's always opportunity. There's always money being made. And you have to realize that you can make money as well. It's not always other people. So just wanted to say that. But again, guys, we got I Am Legion here with the thread, and of course my man Brad Kimes. And I just want to show you this by Trexia XRP. This is an infographic that's been around for a long time, made by the one and only Stetis, and just still talking about, a high-level understanding of the global transfers market. And obviously we see when this was made, of course, XRP's market capitalization was, 30 billion. It's a little lower now. No biggie. I'm looking long-term. We can take a look at Western Union. At this time, it was 80 billion. And if we look at all of these markets, look, 27 trillion. And then if we look at the global transfer market with everything included, and again, I can, you guys can go to the website status.hr to get a better understanding of everything and see it all clearly. But when you're considering derivatives, SWIFT, global non-cash transactions altogether, we're looking at $2.7 quadrillion. Now, what you have to understand is even 1%, even, a tenth of a percent of this would be incredible. And day by day, it becomes more likely. So I know that's full speculation, but if you look at the partnerships and you understand what's happening on the back end, and as Galgatron always says in his blogs with all of the corridors lighting up, I'm actually going to do another video kind of quoting some stuff by Galgatron. I know some people don't like him because he can be a little blunt and, might be a little biased. But again, guys, we have to have different points of view. All right. Next, we got BG Iragi. So it's IRADJI. And just talking about MoneyGram continues not to disappoint in terms of the stock price. No surprise there. And the MTOs that he's referring to are money transfer operators, such as, MoneyGram. So, they receive fiat, they tokenize transactions, send the recipient country, detokenize it back to fiat. It's really just, a regulator that's able to transfer money to other countries. So if other MTOs weren't looking at Ripple before, they damn sure are now, because money talks. And again, I'd have to agree, as MoneyGram might even reach its all-time high stock price because it's highly speculated. It's been taking off since the strategic partnership of Ripple. Of course, we know that we have one of Ripple's members on their board. But again, this isn't even speculation. This is just fact. When they own a large portion of MoneyGram now, that, is a typical thing to happen. So everybody cool your jets. That is, how the world of finance works and just how the, overall landscape works. Next, XRP_Anderson. XRP solves all issues in value transfer: trust, speed, cost, safety, trackability, traceability, certainty of delivery. Of course, authentication, which kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of those things in terms of security. And all these issues get major improvements to the point of near perfection, all by one simple solution. That is genius. And I would have to agree. It is unbelievable the benefits that, digital assets, that blockchain, the underlying technology is bringing forth to the table. Again, for a lot of people, they think just because Bitcoin was arguably first, which I would tend to agree in certain ways, it's just inferior. It was really the first, it's a great science experiment that came to fruition, a good social experiment. But again, we truly know what was built, in the ashes of that. All right, XRP boy just sharing this. So again, XRP_Anderson just kind of talking. People are just saying that they can't expect the future price of XRP to repeat that. And again, that was full speculation, no utility involved. And he just said, sure, but in the 10-year history of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, this pattern has had big spikes followed by a crash and then long-term accumulation time and time again. So of course, we are nearing another spike. Is it going to be this year? Is it going to be next year? I would not be able to tell you that. I'm not a fortune teller, but it's not guaranteed. But that is not needed to be said. And of course, XRP boy just, sharing some great tweets and screenshots as always, with Galgatron kind of talking about Bitcoin. Would you put your money on highly unlikely scenarios that could change overnight due to unforeseen political flux? I would. In fact, I do, says this guy. And Galgatron says, if you framed Bitcoin to noob investors, would you tell them that Bitcoin is decentralized, but only if you exclude the remote possibility that China may 51% attack? And that's one of the many reasons that Bitcoin is just not sustainable. I'm not putting, if you want to hold a Bitcoin or, 1/10 of a Bitcoin or 0.01 of a Bitcoin, that's great. I'm not, releasing what I'm doing, but, the majority of my holdings are XRP. Because I'm not saying Bitcoin won't go up. I absolutely think it will. But moral of the story, stop being XRP is decentralized, indestructible, and will be here long after Bitcoin, long after Ripple, and long after you finally figure all of this out. It was right here, even, Ripple says this, came into 2015 in the industry, that Bitcoin is an incredibly compelling innovation and experiment. And then David Schwartz, again, he worked for the NSA as well, first guy to patent blockchain technology in 1988 and the current CTO of Ripple. And he helped with Arthur Brito develop the XRP ledger. They created a much more efficient consensus mechanism compared to Bitcoin's proof of work. And he says, you think it's particularly hard for the NSA or the government of China to do a 51% attack on Bitcoin? Their proof of work consensus mechanism makes them extremely, extremely vulnerable. All it takes is money. Period. And they can short Bitcoin to cover some of those costs. And that is such a good point. That is terrifying to even realize that with money. And keep in mind the double spending issues in fiat, issues that we're facing today with all kinds of counterfeiting. That's terrifying because this could actually become very, very easily. Remember, there are huge groups of miners. They form massive mining pools. There's about 3 large mining pools in China today alone. All it takes is money or fake money to go into that system. And again, they can literally control 51%. They can control the majority of the network. They can double spend. They can control all transactions. Why on earth would you invest in something like that? Now, I still think that Bitcoin will be around. It's inefficient, again, and I'm not trying to, talk badly about it. But we have to talk about where there's room for improvement to always innovate and, improve this technology. So I just wanted to talk about that. And again, guys, so like for those of you that don't know, Satoshi Nakamoto, which is the pseudonym, created this Bitcoin blockchain back in the day. It was released with the white paper in 2009, I believe, on Halloween, October 31st. And the group of people, we don't know, she wanted to address the inherent weaknesses of, fiat-based electronic payments. Again, they were talking about that there was really no mechanism that existed to make payments over communication channels without a trusted party. We wanted to remove the intermediary, get rid of this centralized system, and this is all written in the Bitcoin white paper as well. But trusted parties, they're unavoidable because fiat-based transactions are reversible. Buyers have to depend on the reputation of the sellers and vice versa. And sellers then have to, rely on all kinds of KYC, know your customer requirements of the buyers. And this whole system has to accept a level of fraud. It's all based on fraud. There's no real trust. All right. And again, so Satoshi Nakamoto wanted to create a system to make trust irrelevant through these cryptographic proofs. And they use a lot of terminology like computationally impractical. And it's very, very interesting, guys. Like, I highly recommend you just kind of check it out. And, with routine escrow mechanisms, you can easily use this and implement this to protect the buyers and sellers, of course. So neither side of a transaction needs to know anything about the other. It's, permissionless. Buyers can only transfer, the Bitcoin they own. Once a seller gets the Bitcoin, nobody can take it because you own the keys. It's all private. And this is all thanks to blockchain. So blockchain is really just like a decentralized, distributed database containing, sequential, or you could say chronological, linked blocks. They're cryptographically linked, and they're digitally signed asset transactions. They're governed by a consensus model. Bitcoins is called proof of work. This is, extremely inefficient. And again, they're, susceptible to these 51% attacks. But blockchain technology as a whole is P2P, like peer-to-peer. It's a giant networked database governed by a specific set of rules. And, Bitcoin is great because with blockchain, they can make transactions irreversible if we're not talking about 51% attacks. And however, there was a few problems that they wanted to tackle today. There's digital money's double spending problems. So for those of you that don't know, when you're talking about counterfeiting, that's an old age threat to real world currencies and fiat today. So, for example, there's a common example of if you hand someone a fake $20 bill and they exchange two real $10 bills. So it's $20 for $20. You're just exchanging simple money, but you've given them fake money. So you've actually made money for nothing. And that fake bill is now circulating in the money supply. And this happens all the time. So if left unchecked, counterfeiting money, this currency drives inflation substantially and reduces trust in a trust-dependent financial ecosystem that is already based upon fraud. So again, guys, this is absolutely massive. And, when creating a block with these miners, they're not just like bundling a bunch of Bitcoin transactions together. There's a hashing algorithm that uses cryptography to calculate this unique number, and that's called a hash. So that based on the transactions, the current block's hash, and then the next update combines the new blockchain's hash with another block of transactions to create a new hash. And so the only way to really hack into the system to write your own version of the blockchain is to win the computational race to add a new block every single time. And this is really just like with proof of work. So with proof of work, you need to have more processing power than the rest of the mining network. So it's highly, highly secure. When we're talking about other consensus mechanisms, we can talk about, Cardano with proof of stake. I'll do a deep dive with proof of consensus with, XRP ledger. It's all very fascinating. I'm sorry if I'm ranting. There's just a lot of information that people don't understand. And they just say, oh, well, Bitcoin's $10,000 and XRP hasn't moved. Why is that? And it's just extremely frustrating when you have these people that don't understand the technology. And how about you take, 10,000 hours and actually do a deep dive, and you'll understand and you'll become an expert. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but I will be putting in 10,000 hours to understand all of this. I want to put, 5 to 10 years of deep dive research into blockchain and DLT. All right. So again, XRP_Anderson, I always like following his tweets on Twitter. People said the same thing about XRP in late 2017. XRP is dead. It's a shitcoin. It's never going to reach $1, $10, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we saw what happened. It just broke its all-time high, in 2017 from nowhere, from pure speculation, from, the thought that we are going to be on Coinbase, which is hilarious. And people just haven't figured out what's happening. And again, whether this cycle is a longer bear market, it doesn't matter. This is going to repeat. Now we have true utility. I'm betting my money. And I guess you guys, you can doubt me. You can unsubscribe if you give up on XRP. But I'll tell you what, when XRP breaks all-time high again, you'll be back and you'll be watching this information. And I'm not saying that to seem conceited, but I've been in the space and I know what's going to happen. It's a cycle. I can't predict when, but I know it's going to happen. Not financial advice. Please always do your own research, guys. I'm just very, very confident. All right. Matthew Linney on Twitter. XRP's ledger gets 5 more validator nodes through company's API platform, Brex, or BREX. Again, this is just more proof that XRP is becoming more and more decentralized in due time. I know I did a video on that, why it's more decentralized than Ethereum and Bitcoin. And then lastly, we'll finish off with this at FitXRP, slipped right under the radar. Check out SB164, deemed crypto as personal property and are tax exempt. And this is the U.S. state of Nevada passes flurry of blockchain bills. And this is right on CoinDesk. You guys can check it out. We're going to see more and more clarity in legislation in terms of cryptocurrency, just like how Bitcoin can often be bought, can buy real estate and high luxury cars. It's only going to become more and more common. Oh, got to give him a follow. Hey, we got digital asset right here and backup Bradley. So cool, guys. But hopefully that information is helpful. I know I was ranting. I can get really into it. Tell me what you want me to cover in future videos, and I'll see you next time.